Greetings from beyond the screen. I spoke about this topic on my live stream last week, Thursday. However, given the fact that multiple twinks and femboys within the VTuber space have decided to be monumental idiots, I needed to gather my evidence and then proceed to talk about them. The first we'll be speaking about is Ace. Now, the reason I'm talking about Ace first is due to the fact that he effectively kickstarted this. His initial tweet that I came across was basically a follow-up to his video that he posted on Twitter, where he spoke about that he takes issue with straight trans allies due to the fact that they fetishize trans people. However, if I were to consider the number of trans women, men pretending to be women, that have androgynophilia as one of their sexual turn-ons, then there would be a good reason why they're getting fetishized. But that's besides the point. He simply said that he did not approve of how straight allies demonstrated their allyship, and he would have preferred it be much more palatable. And then, obviously, he got a bit of pushback, and then decided to make a lovely little virtue signal. And I'll read it verbatim. Okay, my last post has attracted the wrong people, so follow a cleanse time. That's certainly how you want to garner favor. Trump is a pedophile. Trans rights are human rights. I don't really believe in human rights, just rights. Fuck ICE. Well, you are a femboy and whoredom does come with the label, so maybe you want to do a bit more than just say fuck them. Women's rights, worst mistake we ever made in human history. Free Palestine. I prefer Israel and Palestine be wiped off the map. Abortion is healthcare. Well, if you're into murder. You could also go to Canada and get some made. I love trans people, gay people, migrants, immigrants, pagans, witches, and non-religious people. The fact that you need to identify any group of people by their descriptor means that you don't really consider them people. You consider them to be something more, something either to view as less than yourself or more than yourself. If any of this bothers you, I won't miss you, thanks. Honestly, I hate posts like this, but it demonstrates the kind of attitude that people more often than not who identify as leftists tend to have this moral superiority to them, and at no point can they simply put aside their politics and accept that people disagree with them. I myself do not do what Ace does. I am more than happy to interact with people that, by my opinions, I shouldn't be associating with. However, I'm willing to be cordial on a person-to-person basis. So if you have me, who is far-right and extremist or radical, having much more personable traits to myself than Ace, who is supposed to be the all-grand, amazing leftist that loves everyone, there's something to be considered there. Moving on, he made another post regarding all of this. And I found this incredibly funny. And so he starts off and says, okay, now that it's been a week since this post, can we talk about how most people were offended by this? And I'm sorry. He adds this lovely little image. Twitter, the only place where well-articulated sentences still get misinterpreted. You can say, I like pancakes, and somebody will say, so you hate waffles? No, bitch. That's a whole new sentence. What the fuck is you talking about? My particular thing is this, is that at no point did Ace make a well-articulated point. All he simply said was, if you're someone who took issue with my previous post, you must be a bad person, because I don't consider you worth following me. That is what he said, and it is simply seen quite clearly by the fact he said, follow a cleanse time. And then he proceeded to say, Trump is a pedophile, trans rights are human rights, fuck ICE, etc., etc., etc. And then he finishes off with, if any of this bothers you, I won't miss you. How did you expect people to take this? People were going to be rightly offended, and the fact that you played off as if they simply just had an issue for no reason is completely disingenuous on your part. You must have known what you were doing. And pretending that it wasn't the case means that you're quite adept at your feminine ways. Moving on, we have Mew Mew Monkey. And my gosh, certainly this is an interesting one. So they initially responded to Noir Bad Fox's tweet where they mentioned hot take the VTuber community preaches diversity and inclusion non-stop, but it's a total chamber of left-wingers or super progressive views. And we'll leave it there. Then we have Mew Mew Monkey with his original post to this saying, I can't collab with people who believe I shouldn't exist. Hope this helps. Now, I do have to say this. The belief that a lot of people on the left have of people believe that you shouldn't exist, it's never elaborated on. And they never discuss how exactly do people exercise this belief. Because I know many a right-winger and I barely ever see them go out and attack trans people, gay people, etc. Because they might believe one thing, their actions don't always correlate with those beliefs. And if Monkey was as smart as he thinks he is, he would know that. But unfortunately, we're dealing with leftists. And on top of that, leftist femboys. The retardation that women are known for is quite pronounced in them. Then, to follow up on this, he mentions that so many transphobic losers in my comments. I'm not trans, I was talking about racism. But trans rights are human rights and I'll always stand up for my friends. How exactly were you talking about racism? You simply said I can't collab with people who believe I shouldn't exist. At the end of the day, if you're talking about that, the problem becomes this. If they don't believe you should exist, how are they actualizing said belief? A belief is simply that, an idea. And unless there's action placed behind it, there's nothing to fear. If I had an issue with every single person that took offense at me being a homosexual or a femboy, I'd need to put myself in isolation so I'm never harmed ever again by those pesky ideas. And to top all of this off, we have Tomy, I really don't know. Couldn't pronounce his name because I really don't want to put in the effort. Now, Tomo is a very interesting individual. Around the time when Bao the Whale had simply said, male VTubers are bad, don't associate with them, Tomo had, in her comments, spoken about the fact that he was approached by a male VTuber that said very suspect things to him and he wasn't comfortable with it. Now, unfortunately, he had garnered the kind of audience that his content would have captured, which is due to the fact that he focuses on BL. Now, BL is boys' love, and this type of content ranges from PG-13 all the way to rated R. So, if someone had assumed that he was into that, especially with the fact he's a homosexual, they weren't in the wrong. And so he got approached by someone who clearly took all of the signs. Tomo, for all of this evidence, was effectively wearing a whore's uniform without actually being a whore, allegedly. And he also made another lovely virtue signal. He says, I usually don't talk about politics on socials, but let me make a few things clear. Black lives matter. I suspect he's a white man, and unfortunately he's the disappointing kind. Trans rights are human rights. Abortion is healthcare. Well, I feel like all of these twinks and femboys are reading from the same script. None of them are saying anything original. I support LGBTQ+. Free Palestine. Yes, chickens for KFC is certainly something that these people embody. Oh, right. One last thing. Fuck ICE and everyone supported that shit. Truly, truly, truly. These people have so many original thoughts that truly capture their in-depth understanding of politics, and at no point makes me believe that they all just parroting the same talking points, and if I were to scrutinize each one of them individually in the matter of politics, they'd reveal themselves to be monumental idiots, but who am I? I'm just your lovely mage VTuber. And remember, I'm always up. Spell away.